Hi there, welcome to Talk Canicross. I'm Janetta George.
And I'm Gail Walker. We're here today to talk all things Canicross, the fun way to get fit with your dog. So we hope you'll join us, whether it's for training tips, dog talk, or just for fun and encouragement. This is Talk Canicross, brought to you by DogFit. And don't forget to hit subscribe and keep in touch with all things Canicross. For many of us with children, September marks back to school, but it also serves as a good time to reset our fitness goals for the remainder of the year. And for those of you who are considering trying Canicross or even looking to improve your existing skills, speed or endurance, this is the perfect time to seek out some classes, as the weather's also a lot cooler and it's much more comfortable for our four-legged friends. So we wanted to dedicate this episode to giving you an insight into what you can expect from a typical DogFit class, and how our certified trainers are equipped to guide and support you and your dog to achieve whatever fitness goals you have in mind, whether it's simply to enjoy quality time together on the trails or to achieve a specific milestone, such as your first 5K. And to help us, we thought who better than one of our DogFit trainers to come on today's podcast to share her experiences. So I'm very pleased to welcome Fizz O'Neill, who covers the Hull area. So hi there, Fizz.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome, Fizz. It's great to have you on the show, and I'm sure that you're going to come through with lots of interesting facts and reassurance for people thinking of starting classes. But before we really get into that, if you can just tell us a little bit more about you and your dogs, some of your background, and what led you to be a DogFit trainer.
Okay, so, I was a teacher for 23 years. And then about 3 years ago, I decided to give up that awful stress and pressure to become a dog walker and a certified Canicross trainer. At this time, I had 2 Springer Spaniels, one Mr. Darcy, who was 8, and Thistle, who was 6. But because they were both still quite young, I was able to rotate them when I had my sessions. However, they're now 11 and 9.
Yeah.
So they're naturally slowing down. And this has sort of happened simultaneously with an increasing demand for taster sessions and couch to 5K courses. So I had to make the decision to get a puppy, which, oh my Lord. Yeah. So anyway, so I now have Pudding, she's 2 now already, which I cannot believe. That's gone so quick. And she was most definitely born for Canicross.
No.
Oh, she loves it. She's an absolute pocket rocket.
And what breed is she?
She's a Springer Spaniel too.
Yeah,
They're all really well behaved, really chilled out and placid. So if we go anywhere, if we're doing any dog shows, they literally just lie in the boot. I have the boot all open and they just lie there. They don't move. They're so good.
Yeah.
And in fact, Mr. Darcy is so placid that he's sort of hung up his running harness now, being 11, and he's traded him for a therapy dog one. Bless him. Yeah,
that's lovely. That's a great description. Yeah.
Yeah, he loves that.
So yeah. By the way, Fizz, I love those names.
Thank you.
So Pudding's your partner in crime then? So
yeah. She is quick.
Is she?
Yeah, she's very quick. We did a couple of races last year, and for our age bracket, my age bracket, not Pudding's, we came first.
Woo! Oh, wow.
So fast. You know, when you think, ooh, I really need to do a bit more training.
So with Pudding then, you do your social runs, which we're going to talk about in a bit with your clients.
Yeah.
And you've done obviously some races with her then.
Yes. Yeah. So we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do social runs. We've done a few races. We tend to do Dolby Forest, which is good. Mm-hmm. But then we sort of branched out a bit last year and did a few others. And my Canicross social runners, they do it as well. Yeah. So we all go as a team. It's great. It's really nice.
I mean, that is what the spirit of it is all about. It's when Janetta and I set up DogFit, we really wanted to encourage more people to do it and make it fun and sociable and not serious. And I think it actually, there's a lot of people who, albeit wouldn't want to just do running on their own. You know, it's quite daunting, the thought of running on the road, feeling very self-conscious, or even running off-road, and the safety element, especially for females. So there's so many other positives about Canicross I think people don't realise until they actually start. It's not just that
it's not
your dog.
Just,
no.
Yeah. No. Yeah, so I will cover that later, the bit about running.
Okay. So on that subject of Canicross then, how did you actually get started in the first place? Also, you said you gave up teaching.
Yeah.
When did you first come across Canicross, and how did you get to the stage you're at now where you approached us to...
Yeah, okay. So when I was teaching, because my dog's welfare is always my number one priority, as it is with everybody, I was getting up at 10 to 5 every morning and running with my 2 dogs to make sure that I had a good dollop of exercise before the dog walker came to walk them at lunchtime. So the kids had a bum bag with 2 bungee leads attached and just a regular harness on the dogs. And this is how we ran for years. Every morning, like that, come rain, hail, dark, everything. That's how we ran. It was intimidating as a female running on your own, even with the dogs.
Yeah.
And then my brother said, have you heard of Canicross? And I was like, no, what's that? And so he told me what it was, because he's got big huskies that he runs with. So I was like, oh, I'm going to look into that. So literally about 3 years ago, I looked into it, went on your website, filled in your form, my nearest Canicross trainer.
Yeah.
I went through your whole system and I went for a taster session. And it was really funny because she was like, right, okay, so you're going to try the kit. And I was like, oh, I don't know, because I'd run in this kit for so long, a bit of a creature of habit. So anyway, I did try the kit and my word, it was revolutionary. So free motion for the dogs because the harness is cut correctly. It's not pulling on their necks. They've got all that free range of movement in their shoulders and their legs and everything, which was brilliant. But for me, oh my word, your harnesses are incredibly comfy to the point where if I've been running somewhere else and the dogs are in the car and I have to go to the shop, I end up going in the shop in my harness because I forget I've got it on. It's really funny because one of my runners the other day on the Couch to 5K said, oh, I've got to pop to the shop. And she went, oh, God, I better take my harness off because I forget I've got it on. I was like, oh, my word. That's exactly what I do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So here, because that is the intention, but comfort and doing the job as well.
Yeah, exactly. And
I noticed a massive difference in the pull.
In the pull, yeah, I did, absolutely, because the pull was in exactly the right place. So base of your back, top of your bottom, all supported around your hips, and the pull was in front. So it was absolutely fantastic, and I've not looked back since. So I bought my kit and waited for your training program to become ready.
Right.
Yeah, it was.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's. We get a lot of people that come that have been maybe doing some of their own sort of makeshift kind of equipment, belts, and often they obviously don't have the leg strap, so it's not sitting correctly.
No.
And it's lucky you didn't do any back injuries with your...
No, well, it's surprising, really, that I didn't. I mean, luckily, they're quite steady. They're not massively strong pullers. So I think that's the reason why I didn't, because they are just quite steady. But if I'd done that with pudding, I would have definitely wrenched something.
So looking back, because I guess, the fact you didn't even know the sport existed, it was just that someone mentioned it to you. Had you known, you would have obviously invested in proper kit. And
yeah, definitely. I mean, that was the first thing I did after my taster session was I went and bought all of the kits because I thought, right, I need this in my life. And it's just brilliant. And then the lady that did the taster session, she had sort of a bit of a change in life and everything. And she was like, why don't you do this? You're obviously really passionate about it. Why don't you go and do the training? And I was like, well, if you don't mind, and she was like, no, absolutely not. That's fine. So yeah, here we are. 3 years later.
It's always good to it's always good to reinforce why it's important to have the proper kit, as we were just saying.
Yes.
You'll probably go on to this in a moment, but I'm sure you have clients that come to you just like yourself that assume it's okay to just run their dog in a walking harness.
Even with a lead.
Never
in a lead. Yeah. You see it all the time, and the amount of times I've been out with my group and I'm like, and you have to really sort of bite your lip to stop yourself saying, excuse me, please don't run with your dog like that.
Yeah,
you've got
I think it's the benefit. It is the benefits, and having that proper kit with the leg straps, which sometimes people are a bit put off about. But it's that's really beneficial in obviously feeling balanced and being
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I love my human harness. It's fantastic. It really is. I mean, I have other people that have come running in different ones. And even them, I'm like, do you want to just try one of these? And they're like, oh, yeah, go on then. And they're like, God, that is ridiculously comfy. And, you know, it is. It's all that supportiveness of it.
I mean, if you think what the human feels from running in a proper Canicross belt,
imagine what it's like for
the dog feel, because obviously the dog can't verbalise how they're feeling. But you think, you know, when they're running and wearing a harness that's inadequate,
you
don't visually see it. It can also, but it can be leading to, you know, injury. Discomfort. And there's so much, you know, so many benefits with, like as you said, just having that freedom of movement, but supporting them in the right places. That comfort as well. So that when they are straining, you know, they can still run. It's almost like free running, just like
it is.
Human wearing the belt.
That's exactly
free running. It's good to feel like that. So the bungee line is a godsend, isn't it, as well?
Oh, absolutely.
Take me many a time.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, that is another thing. And the fact that that it's got handles at either end. So you've still got that control should you need it, but you've also got that long freedom for the dog to pull as much as they like. So if you're a little bit slower than your dog, doesn't really impact on the dog because the dog can go as far forward as it wants. Yeah.
So thank you for that. That is really good to get the background, especially for anyone who doesn't know you. But so you clearly fell in love with Canicross and you decided to use all your knowledge and experience to, you know, teach others in the sport and encourage them. So you attended our certified Canicross trainer program. And you started offering official classes. I think probably
So
how's that been going so far?
Well. So I started off by setting up an Instagram page. I did a couple of taster sessions with my friends to get a bit of content to post, just to get used to sort of doing that, getting it out there in the social media. And then it snowballed from there, really. So I've had your DogFit enquiries, obviously, that come in, Instagram enquiries from my posts. I've been invited to dog shows and we do demonstrations at dog shows. Word of mouth, obviously. Visibility with the clothes.
Can you see this is a great t-shirt, isn't it?
That's my t-shirt and it's got all of the dogs' names.
Oh, Mr. D's there. Yeah.
No, everybody's got them. No, my whole crew have got them.
Lovely.
And they've got all the dogs' names and everything on. They're really nice. And they're just verbal recommendations and things. So because it's the most rewarding job ever, and I think it's pretty obvious that I'm quite passionate about it, I think that comes across to people when they come and talk to me about it. So that then entices them in to come and try and book a tasting session. And then when they do that, it just speaks for itself. So it's not just... So a lot of them come thinking it's going to physically tire their dog out, but it's not just the physical for me. It's about mentally draining the dog because the dog is in a completely new environment than they're used to. You know, we teach our dogs to not pull on the lead and we teach them to, you know, stay by our side and everything. And here we are letting them go out in front, you know, pulling on the lead and the dogs are thinking, oh, this is different. I'm quite liking it. So I get pictures of really energetic dogs like later on in the day and the dog is still fast asleep because it's just totally different for them. So, it is just a fantastic sport. And I think it's really good for our own mental health as well. Being out there in the woods, in the trails, it's brilliant. And the dogs just absolutely love it. And for me, that's the key thing, is the fact that the dogs love it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I guess what's helpful especially for people within your classes, is that having been a teacher previously, you're bringing those skills in, which obviously then you help transfer into the class.
Yeah, it's definitely helped. I mean, I think the key thing for me is being organised and having that professional sort of approach, but being approachable and helpful and fun as well. It's about having a bit of a sense of humour. You know, it's not just dead serious. People don't come to my groups super serious, I can tell you that one thing. And when we go and do races, we're always the ones at the back because all are like really sort of the people who are like really, really competitive and everything are all at the front and all the dogs are barking and everything. And I'm like, we're just going to stay at the back. We're just going for a different route. That's all we've come for. You know, we go and we give it a good shot, but we enjoy the route while we're there. We enjoy ourselves, you know. It's really nice. But yeah.
That's funny because I was going to ask you actually, like, what if somebody comes to one of your classes, you know, what could they expect? Obviously, once they're trained up, it sounds like you're doing social runs and races events together, which is wonderful to hear.
Yeah.
We can hear a bit more about that in a moment. But for anyone, just to give people a little bit of an idea of what to expect, because and obviously what you offer is typical of all our trainers across the country and overseas. So, and people can find all our trainers on our website. But for someone who comes specifically to you, Fizz, and they're interested in trying out Canicross, you know, what's the sort of path that they typically follow? I mean, obviously some will have different goals ultimately.
Yeah.
If they come to their first class with you, what's your offer?
Okay. So the first thing is the taster session. So I'll ring them and we'll work that around their schedule. And then I'll send them over my welcome email that I have and your DogFit forms for them to fill in. And then they arrive, they try on the kit, obviously, and off we go. It's predominantly walking, my taster session, because I want the dogs to feel comfortable. I want them to be comfortable. And only when they're ready and they say, oh, can we try a bit of running? Then I'm like, yeah, absolutely, that's fine. But for me, it's about them getting used to the kit, the dog getting used to the kit, getting used to the 3 very basic commands, which are forward, getting the dog to pull out in front, which is concentrate, stop sniffing or stop, you know, going off to the edge, and go, which is the one that we introduce when they're about to start running, obviously transitioning from walking to running.
Yeah.
So it's a gradual build-up of skills and stamina and fitness for both them and their dog. And generally during the taster session, well, in fact, not generally, every single time, they're coming to the end and they're like, right, what's next? What do we do? So I'm like, right, okay, the next thing is my couch to 5K, which is run on a supply and demand. So it's a 6 weeks course. There's 1 a week, and we focus on learning commands and building up physical and mental stamina. Because for the dog, it is so different for the dog. You know, being in a pack environment, 2, being given different commands verbally without actually watching hand movements or anything like that, and being allowed to take the rein and pull out front. So this involves, in the first session, we're focused on the left command, and we do it walking through repetition, you know, reinforcing it all the time. And then only towards the end of the session do we do little increments of running in between. And then I get them to pull the dog in and do a left turn. So it is very sort of, there's no sort of massive running involved. It's just building it up slowly and steadily. Session 2 is the same, but on the right command. The third session is quite a bit more running, but embedding those commands. So we do a different route, and there's left turns and right turns. Session 4 is the behind command, or heel, quite possibly the most important command ever to learn. And people still say to me, who've been coming for like 3 years, if we have to do that, they're like, this was the most important command I have ever learned.
Yeah.
Because it's the only way to stay safe. When you're doing a downhill or the steps or anything like that, you know, you have to have your dog in control. You don't want it pulling. And then session 5 is a basic 5K route, but with stops, obviously. I don't expect people to come and be able to run a 5K flat out by 6 weeks. No. Because it's just not feasible, especially with dogs. You know, they have wee stops, they have poo stops, they need a drink, you know, and it's not pressured, you know, but as long as they can run a 5K route and take 3 or 4 stops, I'm totally happy with that. And as long as they've had a good
like
time.
I say, it's realistic.
Yeah.
It takes that pressure off where people might be panicking the night before. Am I going to be able to do it?
Exactly.
It's realistic of when you go out on a social run with friends and do a 5K.
Yeah.
Dogs go to the toilet early on. You stop. You stop. You're chatting, and that's when you
exactly. Right. That's the thing. So I make that very clear that you know there isn't that pressure. And then from that they have. So then the last session 6 is the 5K route with a couple of stops. But then we have a presentation and coffee and cake, and they all receive a DogFit bandana, which is great. They love it. And then after that, they ask to get added to the social run email. So every month, I send a timetable out with all the dates on, and there's a social run on a Thursday night at 6:30 and Saturday morning at 8:15. Gets it done, out the way for the weekend, then they're free to do whatever they like. And they send me the dates that they can do. They pay £20. So if they do all 8 runs, it's £2.50 a run. It's nothing, is it really? But it holds them accountable as they have to turn up then because they've said they're coming. And then I know who's coming. And then I can plan the route accordingly to the runners, the dogs, the weather, all those factors that we have to do and risk assess and everything. And it's about being able to change it en route, literally. I've had to do that quite a few times when the sun's suddenly come out and you're like, okay, we're not doing that run now, we're going to do a different one because we need to get them back in the shade. Because where I live, the shade in the woods, it's always about 5 degrees cooler. So it's great. We can just walk, and they're more than happy with that.
That's important. Yeah, so I was going to say the train is really important because I think people don't realise the amount of prep that goes into being a dog trainer. And you're basically rocking up for a run, but you've done a risk assessment. Like you said, you're thinking about the individual dog's needs, people's needs, thinking about the collective. Yeah, and you're making sure that they're all happy. If you're doing a Couch 5K program and you've got 5 or 6 people, think about each individual, making sure they're having fun and they're getting the most out of it. Yeah, the whole terrain bit is right. You know what's up ahead and you've planned it, so there's no unexpected obstacles or challenges that aren't. I often, when you go out like on your own or with friends and it's not a official class, you end up down these paths with stinging nettles or loose stones. If you go with the DogFit trainer, you don't need to worry that it's going to be okay, and you're not going to get lost, and you're not going to end up going too far and trying to get that's true. And it's safe and fun. The dogs aren't going to just be let off. And
no, absolutely. It's a very controlled environment, isn't it? And it is very safe.
I think that is anyone listening to this that's sort of thinking about they'd like to start Canicross, from what obviously you're running classes in your area, and all of our DogFit trainers run along similar sort of sessions, and it's all very structured. You're following a program. The hardest thing for most people that want to try the sport is that they are put off by the fact that they're going to go to a group and they're going to be expected that they've got to run straight away. Yeah. And, all of our beginners are people that maybe don't run at all. They're not runners. I mean, I started myself how many years ago, never run until I got
never run in.
Yeah, I think that obviously what a really key thing is that if anyone listening to this is looking to start classes, hopefully they're going to be reassured by the fact that we don't expect people to start running or to be and so when they're going to be, you'll be walking mostly. Yeah, it's a gradual process.
It is definitely.
Yeah, all our trainers are running classes of a similar structure. And if you are listening and you think, gosh, I'd like to find a trainer in my area, go onto the DogFit website, you can then find a class in your area, and we will help put you in touch with your trainer. So that's the way. Yeah.
So it's really simple procedure, and then our trainers follow up directly, with you, and and then it's from there. It's just about getting involved and having fun. And
absolutely.
And obviously, I just worth highlighting as well when you mentioned about when they come to a taste of Fizz and they get to try out some kit. What's I think really important to clarify is that our trainers don't hold all the different types of harnesses out there. That'd be impossible because they're not a walking shop. But what we do have is a range of harnesses and also the knowledge to advise you on what would be the best. And you can go. They get a discount code that they can pass on.
Yeah, they do.
So we have a great customer service team to help with any advice as well. So if you're still not sure, please do ask us. But our trainers are there to give you advice and help you.
And to set you off, really.
Exactly, yeah.
So I have all of your sort of taster, your starter kits, the dog harnesses in every single size. Because for me, that's the best way to gauge which harness is going to be most suitable. So, and for the majority of dogs, that works. It works fine. I mean, Pudding's an incredible puller and she wears your harness and it's fantastic. It works for her. But as a trainer, I am then able to say, right, okay, this harness isn't going to work for your dog. It's not the one that you're going to be running in. But if you go on the DogFit website, they've got lots of other types, and I can tell them about the other types of harnesses and the sizes that they come in. But like you say, it is impossible to sort of hold all of that kit. And it's not necessary because if you, as a trainer, if you've got that knowledge, then you can then advise your client as to
what's the right harness.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, I think, but it's great because this is what you're getting all this extra value by going to a trainer. And also when you do eventually go out and get stuck into it, you can feel, reassured that you're in the right, you've got a trainer that's going to guide you on a couch, it might be a couch 5K, or it could be social runs, but also you're going to meet other people Fizz, you've got quite a nice little group going, haven't you?
I have, yes.
Gang. Yeah.
So I have about 20 now in mine. And some people have come and then gone on to their own sort of personal running journey, which is totally fine. Other people's lives change, things like that. So my consistent group at the minute is about 20. Not everybody comes, all at the same time to the social runs, but I think the biggest group I've had has been about 15.
Wow.
And it's fantastic. It's because I do adventure runs as well. I do one of those a month where we go completely somewhere else.
Nice.
And we go and do a run as a group in all our Canicross T-shirts and things as a group. And we just go somewhere like Clumber Park or Dolby Forest or somewhere else. And it's fantastic. They love it. So I've got about 20. I'm just about to finish a couch 5K and all of them, they want putting on. So that's another 5 that they want putting on. But it's brilliant. Like you say, you meet so many different people and so many different dogs. I mean, I've got such a wide range of dogs from retrievers, Weimaranas to Cocker Spaniels and little Yorkie Poos and Border Terriers. It's vast. And so in there are a massive range of harnesses used, dog harnesses, obviously for the different pull of the dog. I think you've got to see a dog in a harness and their pull to then be able to say which harness.
In an ideal world, yeah.
So on the subject of dog pulling, you can. It's not the same.
So on the subject of their dogs, because I want to, in a moment, ask you if you can share a couple of stories about clients, how they came to you and where they've got to. But I always think as well, Janetta mentioned earlier about, a lot of people are apprehensive coming to a class because they're worried they're not going to be able to keep up with their dog. But another common query that we get, and I understand it's quite natural, if they have a dog that's maybe anxious or reactive, and we always say we welcome them. I've had reactive dogs in the past. Canicross has been a saviour for them. But, what do you say to any of your clients that come to you? And they
exactly the same. So I actually really like it when they come and say they've got an anxious or reactive dog, because I'm like, right, Canicross is just the thing for you and your dog, because your dog will absolutely thrive in this environment. Because generally they can't be off lead, they're restricted to where they're walked because they're anxious or reactive. The owner is constantly stressed or worried in case something happens. Whereas in this environment, it's all under control. The dog is constantly attached to you, yet it is draining its energy. And in fact, one of my huge success stories, which I'm going to share with you now, with this is this guy that comes. So he's done Canicross before, but he wanted to come and join a bigger group because his dog is very reactive. He's got a very big dog, and he can read this dog like a book. He knows this dog inside out. He's brilliant. You know, and you just think you've put a lot of effort into that dog. But he's a very big dog and he is very reactive. So the first time he came, I warn everybody, not warn them, but I tell everybody in the group when we're there, you know, if you can just give him a bit of distance, just let the dog settle into it himself, you know, and at some point, I know that the dog will merge into the group when the dog is ready. And this is exactly what's happened. So the first time he came, he and his owner were out in front. I was like, just let them take the lead because they're very quick, very quick to set up. And I was like, oh, I think you might be in the wrong group. You're very fast. Yeah. So they set up and they had a really good run and he loved it. Absolutely loved it. But then where I live in the village, we've got this lovely little coffee shop and a stream and everything. And so afterwards on a Saturday morning, we all pile into the coffee shop for coffee and cake. This is the Saturday morning reward. And he came with his dog and we were all sitting outside with our dogs. And this dog was just sort of sniffing one of the other dogs. Well, he and this little border terrier now are best mates. Oh. And they roll about on the floor together playing. They run together. So he's in the fast group that go ahead. I tend to have like 3 sort of groups. And the fast group go ahead. And then when they get so far, they turn around, come back, meet us, and then go again. And he's in that group. And that dog is totally fine now. With all of those dogs in that group, he's fine. And even the ones that aren't in that group, he's still, when we go for coffee afterwards, it's like a different dog. And we just sit there going, oh, God, this is so nice to see. It's because of the Canicross.
Yeah, it's so lovely to hear. We've seen so much transformation with, you know, anxious, say reactive dogs. And obviously, we always encourage that. And dogs can run in a muzzle.
Oh,
with muzzle. And obviously the thing about the classes is that all the dogs are on the lines at all times. So there's, you know, dogs that are anxious, they're not going to be approached suddenly by another dog.
Yeah.
But it's so really heartwarming when you hear that.
Because it's so lovely to watch. It really is. He's just like, I cannot believe this is my dog.
Yeah.
You know what I also think?
So lovely.
Forget about the stress on the person, the owner.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also having
massive.
Make so many sacrifices. You have to go walk them, away from
different places. Yeah,
on your go to coffee shops and do those things.
No,
so that's helping. In that sense, there's a knock-on effect because it really helps the owner as well.
Yeah,
they end up relaxing and they're happier for it as well. So it's good for them.
Absolutely. Yeah,
that's really lovely to hear. And that, like you said, that's quite typical. We get a lot of customers coming up our way with dogs that have got anxiety or they're reactive, and there was when they do take that plunge to come to a class, it's always very positive because of the
I've had a few couch to 5Ks that have been reactive, and it's really funny because they're all very aware. So like the 5 people that are on it are aware, and then I turn up and they're literally standing like COVID, like completely separate. It's really nice because they're all just like, we get it, and we'll just do what you need us to do to make that dog and their owner feel safe and happy and enjoy it and get the best experience. And it's so lovely.
Yeah. So, Fizz, have you got any other interesting stories to share?
Yeah. So another one is I've got a lady that has started coming to the social runs, and she, a bit like you, Janetta, she's never run in her life, and she's over 70. And she has just started running. Honestly,
I'm not overstretched though.
No, I know.
Oh yeah,
you're not. But yeah, so she started running, and do you know what? She is fantastic. She was like, "Oh, I've never been able to run because of my knees," and I'm like, "Well, just come and have a little try and see how you get on. Don't worry, we can amend it to suit your needs." And God, her stamina is amazing. She's fantastic. She just keeps going and going and going and going. And she loves it. And she's, it's like, it doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are or what experience you've got. I've got some that come and they're amazing runners, and some that have come and they've been running for years and they're still, they just run at the same pace every time. And it's totally fine. It doesn't matter. But yeah, so she's brilliant. And there's another lady that comes and she's got like a great big German Shepherd. And her dog is 7, I think. And she was running with her dog doing Canicross. But now the dog's got arthritis in its joint, so it can't run. But she still comes and brings it for a caniplod. So on a Saturday morning when we meet for our socials, she caniplods with her Darcy dog and my Mr. Darcy, who also doesn't run anymore. So they go for a little caniplod around the woods and everything while we all go for a run. And then she still gets to come and do the coffee and the cake afterwards. And Darcy still gets to see all the other dog friends.
You've got the plodders.
Yeah, we've got the plodders.
I heard it called that, but really, we do have plod trainers doing canny trekking. So
yeah, no, it's not quite a trek. It's still a little more a plod.
Next level down.
Yeah. So yeah,
it's lovely.
It is a really diverse group, but they all just get so much out of it, for the brain space that it creates when you're there.
And friendships as well,
Absolutely, yeah. So it gives you that break from thinking about work and all the stress and everything that you have in your life. But also, yeah, like you say, creates really good friendships. And the bond between you and your dog is just amazing that it creates. That bond is fantastic. It's definitely worth it just for that. Your dog to listen and do what you want it to do.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And thanks so much, Fizz. I think that your enthusiasm just literally shines through.
No.
And actually, I'm sure that some of the things that you showcased there and the people will definitely give people confidence to start a class. But is there any last bit of closing advice you'd give to anyone that's sitting on the sidelines?
Yeah,
about it.
Yeah, I'd definitely come and give it a go. It's life-changing for both you and your dog. And like I say, the bond that you build is fantastic as you're working as a team. Whether you're working towards a goal or not, it's just that bond between you and your dog that is built up through the kit. It's fantastic. You can do it for pleasure or to maintain fitness. You can go on to bigger goals. But then the best thing for us as a team is because we're predominantly women. We have some men, but we're predominantly women. In winter, when you want to go out running and you just daren't, obviously being a woman, because of the social runs, we meet as a group. We are running through the woods with our head torches on in the dark and the cold. And it is so invigorating. It's absolutely fantastic. That feeling of empowerment, because you just wouldn't do it on your own. So as a group, it is brilliant for maintaining your fitness through all weathers and all seasons. It's fantastic in a safe and controlled environment. That's fun. It's good fun.
That's brilliant. Oh, well, thank you so much. And just for anyone listening to this, give us a follow on our channels. We're on Instagram. We're on YouTube. We've got some really good videos on YouTube. And obviously, if you subscribe to the podcast, then that notifies you when our next episodes are up live. But yeah, thanks once again, Fizz. It's been really interesting.
Oh, no, it's an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. It makes me want to do it all over again. Other people who haven't tried it yet. And
I know, you've got to.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Talk Canicross. We really hope that you've enjoyed it. But don't forget to hit subscribe so we can keep you up to date and let you know when the next episode comes out. Happy canicrossing.